Hello, I'm Norman Firth and this is the third in the series of short videos about attitude and mindset. Before we go on to this week's topic, I want to recap quickly on what we talked about last week. We said that attitude was the mental window through which we see the world, and that life and work experience can smear it, making it difficult to see a positive way forward, and that this can start even as early as preschool age if the child is exposed to a negative home environment. The first thing that you've got to do to be able to deal with it is to accept that there is a problem before you can start to clean it up and move towards a good attitude and a positive mindset. I want to move on now to remind you of the dreams that we all had as children, you know, where we thought about what we might want to be as we grow up. Many of the girls wanted to be nurses or school teachers. Girls and boys probably wanted to be pop stars. I know most of my friends, the other lads my age, we nearly all wanted to be sports stars because we saw it as an easy option, something that you'd really enjoy doing. But what I want you to consider now is that reflect and think that actually the ones who actually made it and made their dreams come true were the ones who had the best attitude, the most positive mindsets. They were focused and unstoppable in their quest for fulfillment. Above all, they never give up. In fact, really, you could say that they had all the traits of a good online entrepreneur. Now, to keep your mental window clean as time goes on, it's going to need some ongoing maintenance. So you need to think positively about everything. Challenge your own every thought and see if you can put a more positive spin on it. And continue to avoid negative Nellies and spend your time with the positive crowd. If you don't, you may be dragged down again. I want to give you now the benefit of an experience that I had when I was working at the college I told you about last week. For a few years I worked in what was known as the Project Development Unit, which was a great place to be because everything was positively charged. Positive ideas, positive work practices, positive conversations. It was a fantastic place to be because it sparked all sorts of things from your imagination, and you bounced ideas off each other and then worked them up into something meaningful. Now, as it happened, just across the corridor from our office there was a common room where a large group of other lecturers and other members of staff would go in there for a cup of tea and a chat and so on at break time. And I look forward to this time, you know, usually about 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning. And I'll pop across there and make myself a cup of tea and sit down and chat to the men and women in there. And again, it was a positive environment. It was great, and it was a change from the office. And I really used to look forward to it. But then, as often happens in large organisations, there was a dispute arose between management and the workforce, of which I was one, obviously. And in nearly every one of these cases, it's usually about pay and conditions. And usually they're sorted out pretty quickly before too much damage is done. But in this particular case, this dispute dragged on for months and months. And from going in there and enjoying a cup of tea in a nice positive environment, it became the exact opposite of that. It was absolutely terrible. Everybody was wallowing in self-pity and negativity, and I got to the stage where I couldn't bear it anymore and I stopped going in. Or at least I just went in, made a cup of tea and went out back into my own office then and had my break there. And I used to meet people on the corridor that say, "Norman, why don't you come into our common room anymore? We miss talking to you," and whatever. I say, well, I'm really busy. I haven't got the time, to be honest. And it was absolutely terrible. And there is no way that you can keep a positive mindset and do project work in that sort of environment. I just had to get out of there. So the moral of the story is that if you find yourself in a negative environment, and if it's one that you can't change, then get out of there. Okay? It's true that when people set out to clean their own individual windows, that they're all starting from a different point, because up until then we've all had different life and work experiences. Now there's nothing anyone can do much about that, but some people would use it as an excuse to say to another person, oh, it's easy for you, my life has been much harder than yours, so I've got a lot more work to do to turn my attitude around, excuse me. And really that's not helpful at all, because all that does is reinforce the negativity that we're trying to get rid of. So please don't fall into that trap. The truth is that no matter how difficult things have been in the past, we all have the power within us to turn things around and to choose your own attitude from then onwards. So stop wallowing in negativity and focus on what needs to be done. What you consider to be the most important things in your life, perhaps love, happiness, contentment, your financial situation and overall fulfillment, these things are of course all interwoven. And some say money is not important, but I know from personal experience that the lack of it can put an incredible strain on even the strongest relationship. And when I talk about love, I'm not just meaning the love that you feel for your partner or your children or other special people in your life, but do you love life? Do you love where you live, the lifestyle that you lead, your work-life balance? Do you get the picture? Now, I've grown to admire a lot of you people that I meet on Facebook on a daily basis. And one guy in particular has as his motto something like, create a lifestyle that you don't need a vacation from. And when I ask this same person, how are you today? He always replies the same. He'll say, fantastic. I've never had a bad day in my life. Just some days are better than others, that's all. You know, and I think, what a fantastic life he's got, that guy. Of course he does have his bad days, but he's conditioned his mind to think that bad days are good days and good days are bloody fantastic. And that's how he deals with it, and it works wonderfully well for him. I'm sure you all know who I'm thinking about, or if not, you'll be having a look on Facebook later on to see if you can spot him. Now, of course, the biggest influence that we've all got is our own innermost thoughts, and that little voice that we hear when we talk to ourselves. What does it say to you? For any of us to be really successful, that voice has got to be a can-do voice. I can do this task. I will be successful in this job interview. I will reach my goals in life. To finish up, I would again refer you to the repeating little positive messages to develop your can-do voice. There's a parallel here with the rote method that we used as children to learn our arithmetical times tables, and once learned, they're never forgotten. We just used to repeat, repeat and repeat them until it was ingrained in here. That's all for this week. Thank you for listening, and bye for now.